diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. Jet, we Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Rick flaring, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. One eye open like Betty Wops and find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry for spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase. Yeah. Bubba C. Yeah. Rick flaring on him. Rick flaring on him. Rick flaring on him. Rick flaring son up.
Hey, yo, Scotty, you going crazy for this one. We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack, Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man, A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the swag, pull up where you at, no cap. If the Brody is speaking the soft facts, my advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeants are with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he offered the least. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walk it, cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime knows Scott for the HBCU streets.
What is going on, everybody? You already know what it is. Your boy Scotty back with another one. Happy Tuesday to all you Bamas. Listen, Black History Month is coming down to an end. So, well, you know, every day is Black History, but officially it's coming down to an end, man. So make sure you guys are getting in all your Black History stuff. And listen, it's a special edition of Black History Month today. Woo! Got my boy Blue is in the building. We talking some legendary legacy HBCU Bowl recap. My man was there live. Listen, have you missed one, Blue? You haven't missed one, have you?
Been there every year.
Every year, man. I remember I went the year year one and you went year two with you. I was there with
Yeah,
you.
2, I want to say.
Yeah, Xavier and all those guys came through, man, and we had a great time up in the booth, you know what I'm saying, up in that nice little box or whatever, man. So, but listen, we're not gonna go too in depth because Blue and Coach Fred broke it down on their platform. Make sure you go over there to the Blue Bloods podcast, man. Make sure you subscribe and go check that out. I'm talking about they went through everything. All right, so we're just gonna do some overlap here, get some insight from the insider himself live on the scene to talk about it a little bit. But Blue, you've been there every year. How has it grown from year one to year now?
I think you've seen the depth of the talent grow, right? I don't know. So like this year, you had Elijah Williams, but I don't know if you've had like the Xavier Smith of the class here, right? Like maybe you didn't have that top end talent, but I would say the floor has been raised so much. I mean, Scotty, you remember even that second year, right?
Listen,
God, it was bad.
The Akil year was awful.
It was bad.
Then old lines was just, it was absolutely.
Well, who was the kid from Norfolk? Was it Deshaun Dixon or something like that? I mean, it was to the point they had to take him out or they just wouldn't get practice done.
Yeah.
Remember they couldn't even get a snap off.
Remember Prairie View's, Southern and Prairie View's D lineman, the one that he was just short.
Cam Peterson and then Jason Dumas.
Them two was just wrecking shop on everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was, you know what, watching the game, I was just happy to see quarterbacks with some time. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen it to where it was literally a highway to the quarterback. And you're like, man, this ain't no real game, man. Like, what can you do with that? But this year, shout out to Gerald. I heard he's part of the personnel staff that picked everybody out, man. The O-line play was a lot better. Just
especially
overall.
on the SWAC team.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll say this. I do think the MEAC team took a step back in terms of overall O-line talent. I just think it was because of the transfer portal, right?
Yeah.
You look at like Torricelli Simpkins, Corey, was it Bullock, who went to like Maryland or something like that? And like those guys all transferred up. So I don't think the MEAC team had that high-end talent that they had maybe 2-3 years ago. But the SWAC team, I mean, with like Kirk and all those guys, I mean, man, it was extremely increased. But also, too, it kind of helped, though, that outside of Elijah, a lot of the D-line had a lot to prove, right? You didn't have a guy like Jason Dumas who, I mean, Scotty, he wrecked the SWAC for 3 years. Like we were talking like me, Kurt Ford, and then Braxton Blackwell, the long snapper from Southern, we're talking about. He was like, man, if Dumas wouldn't have got hurt, man, that last season at Southern, he probably would have won SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. Like no one would have been able to block him.
Yeah, he was crazy. Dumas was a monster.
And also, too, I just think overall, like, and we've kind of talked about this over the past few years, the SWAC has really tried to put, and really the MEAC too has put an emphasis on development and trying to keep some of these guys in the program. And you see guys like a Draylon Ellis, who may not have been at Tennessee State, right? In the past few years. Also, a Daniel Richardson being able to transfer in for his last year and getting a guy who threw for 10,000 yards in a year. Miles Crawley.
Yeah.
As well. Like I also just think the quarterback play has taken a step up. And in any all-star game, we talk about the bad Senior Bowls and the bad Shrine Bowls. It's always tied to quarterbacks. If there's not a high-level quarterback, it's bad. And you had to kill that 1 year, right? But then you kind of look back over the past few years, who was the signature quarterback in those in-between years? Really can't even name one.
Nah, you really can't. You really can't. I'm trying to think, like, even a couple years ago, like, you really
no.
Because Jackson lost Shador.
Yep. Southern hasn't had a good quarterback in a minute, and Skelton went and Skelton played tight end.
And he played wide receiver.
He didn't even play quarterback.
Running back. Yeah, he played everything else.
And so he didn't play Fam. Musa went, but Musa, I don't think Musa went.
He didn't play. He didn't play well. That's what I'm saying.
No. But I mean, look at this year, man. We had Eric Phoenix, Draylon Ellis, Daniel Richardson, and Miles Crawley.
Listen, and I'm glad you went there because let's talk a little bit about the game. And I was never really high on Draylon as much as you were, at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
I love what I saw from him in this game. And I know it doesn't make sense because the Montana game, to me, solidified Draylon as being an absolute dog. But I liked what I saw from him in this situation because, and I think it goes for him and Daniel, right? The more time you play, the more you're able to just do stuff. You're able to make lemonade out of lemons, right? Because You don't know these guys. You just had a week of practice. There's not really much timing, but good quarterback play is just good quarterback play. And you saw it from Draylon and you saw it from Daniel. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have had a problem if Draylon would have won the MVP award for offensive, because I just liked how he played. I love Daniel. And I think watching Daniel play, it really shows you how bad Joe Henry did him this year, as well as Jeremiah Pruitt, and you brought it up, but in your show with Coach Fred. But I really like what I saw from Draylon Ellis.
He's one of these weird prospects, right? Because, and I'm gonna say this, and I've repeated on every show I've been on for the past 2 weeks. It's okay to just be a good college quarterback. Everybody can't be a pro.
Yeah,
Scotty, how many people do? I'm from Mobile, man. You're from an area that produces a lot of talent in football. Bro, I know so many guys who are just good college players, but just they didn't have the size. That's one thing happened here or there. Draylon Ellis goes down in history as a guy who he doesn't have the measurables for an NFL. He's what, 5'11", 175, and that might be pushed. Like, Scotty, if you saw him in person, Fred walked out there and said, "Who the hell is that kid?" I said, "That's Draylon." He said, "That's the kid who did Montana like that."
Yeah.
But he has 10 1/8 hands, like his hands there, his arm length, like he looks like a athlete, but he's not a practice quarterback. Because if you just want him to stand in the pocket and deliver darts, like, and that's what Daniel Richardson does well.
Yeah.
But I texted Gerald about this during the game. I'm like, this is what I was trying to convey to people. He's just a playmaker, and you can't teach it.
Yeah.
Scotty, like those guys who are just don't blink when the bullets are flying and when the lights are bright, and they just kind of black out and go make the plays, that's Draylon Ellis.
Yeah.
And you can't teach it.
You can't.
And he wasn't comfortable with the first OC he had at Tennessee State, and I think it impacted him, right? He lost his confidence. But you saw toward the end of the season, that SEMO game, that Montana game, some of those late games in the season, and he was arguably playing the best football in HBCU football as a quarterback.
Easily. And it's not even debatable. He was easily the best quarterback outside of Eric Phoenix, outside of all those. Because if you're just putting it up to competition, right? Like what you have to face against week in and week out, and him having to show up to play, you got to give it to him. And I watching him play, I was like, man, I just like this kid's moxie. And it goes back to what I like about Daniel Richardson. He's just a gamer. You just put the game on his back, and he's going to show you what he can do. And again, what bothers me is this, right? And I used to say this about like guys, when I used to play basketball in high school. It's like, if the short guy had the taller guy's height, you'd be like, man, what could he be able to do? And I think Draylon is that. You give Draylon Miles Crawley's measurables, we're having a different conversation. He's an XFL,
probably drafted,
probably 6th, 7th round draft pick, right? You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things you're like, God. And sadly enough, I didn't like how Eric Phoenix played. I didn't either. It didn't really be like, oh, I see the MEAC player of the year, right? I didn't see that. But what I did see is what I saw in the Celebration Bowl. Didn't seem like he was prepared. It just didn't seem like he was in the game.
He's one of those guys. Like, I don't know if he had a bad week, Scotty. I don't think he's shined. And in this environment, when you're surrounded by all these guys with this production, you have to shine. Like, you even look back at the Senior Bowl, Carson Vincent shined. Gray Zabels shine. Like, we talk about guys who rise above. He just kind of showed up and did his thing, and no one really talked about it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him on any list of top performers. Like, nothing. I was at every practice, watched all the reps. Nothing really stands out to me that he did. Like, I don't think he had any plays where I was like, damn, like he's terrible or anything. But it's just he didn't do anything to rise above even Miles Crawley, Daniel Richardson, or Draylon Ellis. And so if you're fourth at the Legacy Bowl, what does that tell you?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And the thing with Miles that I've always loved is, if Miles is the type of guy, like, the throws, he can make every throw. Man, when I tell you the kid can make every throw, but it's just like how he processes. And that's usually the issue, is like, how is he processing the game and stuff like that? Because again, you give Daniel Richardson processing to Miles Crawley, woo, it's
a different level.
It's a different level. You know what I'm saying? With his arm talent and his styles and his stature, right? So it's that. Blue, who were guys that when you're hearing what scouts are saying and, you know, invites and things that you just like, I can see that happening?
So from this game, because I mean, obviously we'll take Vincent out because I think he's probably a day 3 lock. I'm hearing a lot of Irv as like a guy kind of like Marquise Bell, who will be one of those guys that just gets a UDFA like 5 minutes after the draft. Like where the draft ends,
I'm getting a
on
call.
Twitter, you see Irv Mulligan signed with this team. He's going to get a really good deal. They just like, I mean, Scotty, you just can't teach his mindset and his downhill ability just to run through someone. And also, too, all week he showed that he can catch. And it was kind of the knock for the South Dakota State kid last year who's on the Jets, Isaiah Davis. The offense just didn't utilize the running back in the passing game. And so what did the scouts say? Oh, we can't catch out of the backfield. He had to go to the Senior Bowl and show that I just wasn't asked to do this.
Yeah.
I can do it, but that was not the offense I was in. I thought Irv checked that box, but man, it all starts Rob McDaniel. I think, Scotty, it's been a weird process with him. I got to give Gerald his props. I mean, he called it. He was on him way before everything. And I remember I called it. It was one of the first times I saw Rob in person. I went and saw the FAMU Jackson game this year, and I was like, man, he looks the part. He's good. But man, it was that Southern game, that SWAC championship when I was there, and they put him at corner. I was like, damn, this kid's pretty good. Like, he can play safety, he can play corner. But I think for me, as long as he gets to a system that will utilize him in the nickel or put some weight on him and play him in like a will linebacker role, man, he's going to be good. He's going to check all the boxes. Because, Scotty, you can't teach 6'2", 213 running a 4.5.
You can't. You can't.
It's just different. And also, too, like you said, his pro comp's kind of Marquise Bell. And the thing with him is the reason Marquise didn't go undrafted was some off the field stuff. Yeah. Rob doesn't have any of that. So I personally think there's a chance that Rob is going to get picked up in that 6th, 7th round area just so a team doesn't have to fight to sign him.
This is my thing. I like Marquise. I think they're just, the comp for him to me is just, he's to like, what's tough is this, right? It was tough as this. It's like, I don't see him as a corner. Like he's not, I love him as a nickel, right? Mm-hmm. But if you get him with short, quick guys, it's going to be a problem, right? But if you can make him a rover, if you can make him a wheel backer, because he loves the physicality of the game, and you see that when he takes on blocks, you see that when he takes on offensive linemen. I just wasn't high on him as a corner. I'm just not, right? But if you get him, the closer he is to the box, the better player he is. And I think to me, he's a bigger version of Budda Baker. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? He's not as nimble as Budda. So that's how Buddha's able to play the nickel, play that safety position. I think he's a bigger physical player of a Budda Baker, right? That where you like head down, nose in it. And, for me, I liked Marquise Bell because just of his tackling ability. Like for space in space, like there's not a better tackler in space. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got to give Gerald credit for that one. Like he called that
nailed it.
2 years. 2 years. I mean, a year. I mean, pretty much he called the shot a year early. You know what I'm saying? On Rob McDaniel and things like that. For me, on the opposite side, I love Kendall Bowler. I think Kendall Bowler is an NFL player. The only issue I have with Kendall Bowler is every time he gets in these bowl games, he misses the plays to take him over the top. It's
because he dropped that pick early, right?
Like I be like, Kendall, like this is that moment. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is that moment, and he's always in great position to make those plays. Think about it. If he would have been able to grab that ball from that kid and run that jank back, that's the play of the game. Yep. You're the defensive MVP as a DB. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those. But I think Kendall Bowler is another either. I don't think he's drafted. I think he's an undrafted guy, kind of like the other guy from Alabama State who did the same thing.
Mikey Victor.
Mikey Victor. I think he's in that same Mikey Victor range to where you get him and you keep him in camp. Another guy that I'm high on. Listen, you already know I love Jeremiah Pruitt. I think that's a lock. He's
going to get a camp invite minimum. Minimal, Scotty. Just for his measurables. They're going to look at him and say, let's just bring him to camp and see if he can just
do anything.
Just, yeah.
6'4", 4'7",
whatever it may be.
Come on, man. 6'4", 4'7". and you used to be a wide receiver and they moved you to tight end, so you have the nimbleness and the ability. Like you can't ask. And I heard you say it on your thing. You were talking about Coach Fred said it, like the scout was like, I don't know why weren't they using him in the offense? And I'm like,
there we go.
I've been saying it for the whole year. How is number 0 not in the game? You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. Let me ask you about the Jada Byers of the world. Like, how did you? I liked his shiftiness. I just don't think it's camp invite worthy, but I do like his shiftiness.
Okay, is he a good? Again, I think it's just a good college player. Like, I get the hype, right? Because you don't listen. The kid ran for like 2,000 yards in back-to-back like years. I mean, come on, man. But Scotty, he's undersized and he ran a 4.8. I mean, listen, and I'm not trying to hate on the kid or nothing, man. Hell of a college player, but we got to have some serious conversations, man. Scotty, what running backs running a 4.8, and what did he come in at? I'm trying to pull his measurements up. 5'6", 190, running a 4.8.
Yeah, that wouldn't even work if he was on a Power 5 level. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? Like, the kid's really good in game action, but I don't see it, Scotty. Like, there's certain marks you have to hit.
Yeah.
And 4.8 just isn't going to get there. Now, he might get a mini camp invite, right? Which is a little bit different than like a UDFA or PFA.
Yeah.
But I really do think he can go to another league and maybe make a run at a roster there. But I just don't know if the NFL's in his future right now. Just being honest.
Yeah. Shamar Savage. I've been super high on Shamar. How was his overall looks and feel during practice and stuff like that?
I thought he had a good week, man, because listen, there's certain players, right? Because we know the Davis kid from Central got all the hype because of his combine performance, but bro, it doesn't match his film. And it's like,
okay, all right.
Yeah, we'll get to him after this. Well, let's move to him after we talk about Shamar. But,
go ahead.
like, I understand Shamar's lack of production, right? Because he didn't have a quarterback. Scotty, me and you could have went out there and maybe got on 1 or 2 more catches a game, and I can't even played O-line. But, I mean, listen, he checks all the 6'2", 213. I thought he had a pretty good combine, right?
40 though, because he looks fast on tape, but
4'6".
Okay.
Like 4'6" on the dot, so probably closer to
4.55.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I'm fine with. The one thing I would like to see him improve on in his broad was at 8'11". I like to get over 9 for a wide receiver. I need over 9. His vert was a 31, not terrible. I like to see that improve a bit. But to me, his film matches up to, like, his film is better than his combine performance, but nothing in his combine performance was like a major red flag. Like, we can't give him a shot.
Yeah.
He's a guy, I think, again, mini camp invite guy, or on top of that, UFL, CFL, something like that. But Scotty, the thing that's going to help him is this is a really, really weak HBCU wide receiver class. Like, who is the guy you're like? Because I see KJ in the chat. Me and him have talked about this. Who's Scotty? If you were asked if you had to push a guy to the forefront of the wide receiver class for HBCU, who are you putting your money on?
That's it, Jamari. And the only reason is because I've seen the speed in the game. And if you give me a 4.6 or 4.5, which I think he can run a 4.4. Listen. I think Jamari can run a 4.4, and his tape matches 4.4. Right? He gives me Riley, Marcus Riley, Marcus Riley type of vibes. Right? So it would be Jamari then Shamar, and going into Jodeco. Like, listen, it's one of those. You can't teach 6'4", 4.4. You can't teach that.
That's it. It's the what's it called? Traits. It's the traits.
You just can't teach it. But when you watch the tape, you're like, he gets ran down. Like he gets ran down.
And also too, he had drop issues all through his career at Central. And Scotty, and I'm not the wide receiver expert, so I try to hold back on like giving like a full breakdown. But Scotty, he just looks stiff. Like, his route running looked like it's just too stiff for what he put up there.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And so I think he's a developmental guy at best, like practice squad guy at the height. If he just goes and kills it in a camp, he'll get a camp invite just based off his 40, right, and his size. But I just think it's going to be hard to translate because Scotty, he doesn't have the Shamar Savage excuse, bro. You had 2 of the best quarterbacks in the MEAC. Like, Walker was spinning it at times this year. Davius Richard was arguably the best HBCU quarterback for multiple years.
Yeah.
Why did you have no production? Why was Devin Smith ahead of you?
Yeah.
Why were you like
at
the third best wide receiver on the team?
At 6'4", 4'4". You know what I'm saying?
They couldn't design nothing to get on the football, Scotty. I find it hard to believe.
I agree. And when I'm like, I never really seen it, on tape of where just like he just stood out and just like, here I am, right? But I always got that vibe from Shamar. Shamar had always been the guy. Like, I'm like, how are they not designing plays for Shamar, right? Like, how are they not giving him opportunity? Now, I think they have a kid on PV that went off against FAM this year. I think he's coming up. I think he went for like 160 or 170 against FAM this year. I can't remember his name. He's
coming back though.
Yeah, he's coming back. But for me, and somebody asked about Jamari. Now Jamari says he ran a 4.38.
So what happened is there's no laser time at this combine. So like when you go run the NFL combine, they have the laser time and they'll just use that. Yeah. With the stopwatch time, they just average out all the different stopwatches. So what happened is someone probably told them they clocked him at a 4.3.
Yeah.
But then some other people clocked him at a 4.5 or 4.4. And so the average came out to, I think, a 4.53 or something like that. Let's see pro day. I would imagine he's going to jump into the 4.4s on pro day.
Easily 4.4.
Because a lot of these kids don't know how to run the 40.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about that earlier today. A lot of these guys didn't start training until like 3-4 weeks before, man. We can't have that.
Nah. I think there has to be, and let me say this. The Legacy Bowl, if you haven't been, it's a really nice production. Shout out to NFL Network. Yeah. Shout out to Shaq and James, Shaq and Doug and all of them who put it together. But guys, can we get a laser? I mean, like, out of all the money you spend it, out of all the stuff you get new helmets, new jerseys, can we get a laser? Like, I mean, come on, man.
Get rid of the helmets. Let's wear the team helmets.
Just wear the team helmets.
And then let's buy a laser. That's what we should do. Because, bro, no one can tell who's who in all these highlights.
Yeah. The Senior Bowl does it. And I love seeing all the stickers from all the, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Blue. I agree with you.
I'll say this, a guy who wasn't at the combine, so I don't have his measurables or we don't really know what he's going to run. I really did kind of like the wide receiver from Tennessee State, Jaleel Dean, the one that caught the touchdown.
Yeah.
He had a really good week, man. He was strong, physical at the top of his routes. He showed a nice little bend, but I don't know where he kind of stands in the scout size because he kind of came on late in the week. And so I didn't really have to talk to anyone about him, but he had a good game too. But I don't know if that was just his chemistry with Draylon, right? That's kind of what I get worried about with some of these teammates where they just locked in because they played all year together. Yeah. Or can he go do that at a camp somewhere? But he is someone I would kind of look at that had a pretty good week at wide receiver, I would say.
That's good. Now, what's some? I like Traquan. I was high on Traquan coming into the season. I thought, he puts me in the Dumas, right? You're 6 foot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have a James Houston type of year, but it wasn't bad. But it's like, I can see him in the UFL. You know what I'm saying? I can see him in the CFL dominating because he's that talented. How did he do in the one-on-one reps?
So he did good against guys that he could out leverage, right? Because he's so short that if he gets the leverage on you, he's strong enough to just pancake you. And so, like with a guy like Jalen Goss, right? I want to say he got him on one rep just because Goss is so big. Man, how are you going to out leverage a guy who's 6 foot when you're 6'7"? It's just you can't.
Yeah.
But the thing I did see is when he did get when a bigger offensive lineman got his hands on him, it was just hard for him to get, like, it's hard to fight that off, like with the grip strength and everything. Because what happened is, Scotty, they didn't have a lot of interior guys. So when he was on the edge, he would make waves in one-on-ones. But when they would move him to the 3, or what's he going to do from the 3? Because you can't really speed rush around the edge or anything like that. Like, how are you going to power rush Kirk Ford if you're Traquan Thomas? Like, you just don't have a shot. So I thought he had a solid week. I kind of look at him kind of like I did Ronnie Thomas, man, where he doesn't have the size to possibly be an edge rusher in the NFL, in my opinion. But, man, he's going to go up to the CFL and kill it.
Yeah.
And probably make a roster up there just because they like those smaller, twitchier guys. But in the NFL, man, I want to say, I'm trying to find his measurements, 6 foot, 236. I mean, if you're an edge rusher at the next level, you probably want to push him closer to like 250.
I mean, that's a linebacker. Let's keep it a buck. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's linebacker. Like, you are a legit linebacker. Same thing with James Houston when he came down to the Jack State level. He came in as a linebacker for Florida at 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, he ran a 4.9 at the 40. Traquan did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be undersized and then be, you know what I'm saying? You had to be in that 4.7 4-6 type of, really
Yes.
4-7, 4-6.
Because I saw someone compare them, like, I don't remember, it was one of the HBCU shows in here, because I was just kind of listening. They compared them to, Scott, this was a while ago, Rodney Gunter.
I have no idea.
So he was a defensive lineman out of Delaware State who went in like the 4th round.
Oh,
And they
wow.
were like, man, he kind of reminds me of him. Rodney Gunter was 6'5", Scotty. How does Traquan Thomas remind you of Rodney Gunter? The only similarity they got is they graduated from an HBCU. That's the only comparison you can make. Come on, man. We got to do better with these pro comps. Like, I get it, but just because a kid graduated from an HBCU, we don't have to compare him to another HBCU guy just to do it.
Hey, not Elvis.
Like, come on, man. A 6'5" guy who went 4th round was Traquan Thomas.
That's funny. O-line, how did you talk about Jalen Goss being 6'7", that's a big guy out of HBCU. At the end of the day, big bodies, help. So how did the O-line evals go?
Okay, I'm pissed because the guy who I was most excited to see didn't even play. Jason Ivey from A&T killed the combine and didn't get an invite to the Legacy Bowl.
He didn't get an invite?
So, Scotty, I don't know if people know this. The Legacy Bowl and Combine are not run by the same people.
I did not know that.
So there were people who went to the Combine that didn't get Legacy Bowl invites and vice versa. There were people who went to Legacy Bowl but didn't get Combine invites. That's why when we released the measurements on our website, people were like, well, where's this guy? Where's this guy? Well, they didn't go to the Combine. Kurt Ford, Evan Henry, they weren't invited to the Combine.
That's crazy.
Jason Ivey went to the Combine, not the Legacy Bowl.
That's wild.
Yeah. It made no sense. But for O-lineman, I think Kurt Ford from Jackson had a really good week, man. I just like his strength. Scotty, and also, too, I really like offensive linemen that like to finish their blocks.
Yeah.
Man, Kirk was looking for the pancake on every one and would let you know when he did it. And I love energy like that. I thought the kid from South Carolina State, Cam Johnson, had a good week until the game. He was kind of like Vincent, where he had this good practice week, and then Traquan Thomas was out there
killing them,
just killing people. And so I would say this: I don't know if this offensive lineman class is like the depth of the position was better, right, Scotty? But I just don't think there's anyone that really kind of just stood out and just dominated the week. Mm-hmm. Like Kirk would probably be my overall winner. I like Goss, but the problem with Goss is, man, Scotty, he is legit skinny. Like when you walk up to him in person, he looks like 250.
Oh, wow.
He's just so thin that, listen, it helps him when you try to, finesse him off the edge because he's so long that he can just grab you and he's athletic and he can move. But man, if you get up under him and just bull rush him,
it's a wrap.
You ain't got nothing. What's he going to do? He don't have the weight to do it. So that's my concern with Goss. If Goss could just keep weight on him, which was his knock at Florida State, if we could get Goss to 280, man, solid camp body. Solid, but he just can't. It just doesn't seem like he can keep the weight on. And so for me, like the offensive lineman, no one really stood out. But I'll say this, man, the D lineman had a really good week. If we're flipping it over to the defensive line, like, listen, I know you question his motor, which is fair. I think there's some film where you can question his motor, but man, when Elijah Williams turns it on,
nobody better.
Bro, Scotty, there's no one that can block him. Bro, do you know how hard it is to pancake someone off a spin move, Scotty? He hit a spin move and pancake somebody.
Well, this is my thing, though, Blue. It's the problem that I have, and I've talked to some scouts about the Legacy Bowl, is they say this. It's you got draftable grades or semi-draftable grades going against non-draftable grades. So it's like, can I really, yeah. So the tape really has to do work, has to really shoot you above. And I think people like Elijah Williams needed a Shrine Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like
1,000%.
You need that Shrine Bowl so I can see you against power four, not even draftable, just power four, power four O-line, G5 O-lineman, just to see if it can translate. And that's the issue that I have with the Legacy Bowl that I feel like, and I know people are going to say, Scotty, it's for HBCUs, and I get that. But I think they're doing a disservice because you could be putting HBCU players in better situations if you got G5 talent and just kind of instituted it in. And I know, I get it.
Well, so there's a talk, and so this isn't confirmed. It's kind of some like behind the scenes stuff. They're talking about inviting guys who transfer from HBCU starting next year. So guys that didn't get an invite, like Torricelli Simpkins at South Carolina, or Bullock, if they don't get a Senior Bowl invite, we'll invite them to the Legacy Bowl.
That makes sense because now you're talking about guys who moved up you know what I'm saying, or moved on, you know what I'm saying, coming back into that environment. And now you're saying, hey, this kid played at Maryland, or hey, this kid played at, Illinois, or hey, this kid played at San Jose State. And now you're seeing what that looks like. And this is my thing. I think the combine invite should just be for if however many players the NFL got, it should be the same number, including guys who are transferred out, right? So say it's a Floyd Chalk, right? He gets to come back. Say a Corey Bullock, he gets to come back. That invite should literally be just
for everybody.
Everybody. Why
I think they're going to go the opposite way, though. I'll be honest with you. Just kind of based on the conversation I've had, some of the scouts feel like we're wasting our time. Wow. Some of these guys, because I was told by a scout. So we saw all the talent at the Legacy Bowl this year. He said probably max 10 guys will make a roster or get a minicamp invite or be drafted. He was like, you probably got 10 to 12 guys, maybe.
You know what I love this? You know who I would love to see in this HBCU invite, and I know he's kicking himself right now. The dude from FAMU who went up to Illinois.
General Hunt.
He got to be kicking himself.
Terrell Allen from Tennessee State.
They gotta be kicking themselves right now, because you could have came down here, had it. I mean, you're probably gonna have a pro day, and we get that, right? But you could have came down here and probably would have had a combine invite. You know what I'm saying? And did what you did. And we all know General Hunt's undersized. We get it. So, but I would have loved to see it overall.
There's a few guys, and listen, like obviously the guys who transfer up, like the Bashil Tutons, they won't come back. Like, because he's so good that he's going to go to the Senior or Shrine Bowl, right? Yeah. This is for the guys who just didn't get an opportunity. The Terrell Allens, the Gentle Hunt, who was the edge rusher for FAM that went to like Jacksonville State.
Stevens.
Yeah, Stevens. So, like, guys like that who transferred up and didn't get a shot, or the kid from FAM who went to Colorado and didn't play, the linebacker.
He's at FIU right now.
Yeah, so guys like that who aren't good enough to go to the Senior or Shrine Bowl need to come back and put some stuff on film, and on top of that, just run. And a lot of those guys might look good against some of the guys who are maybe borderline this year, right? Yeah. I think they would have looked really, really good this year, especially like a Torricelli Simpkins, which is weird because he got a combine invite but no All-Star game invite. So I don't really know what happened there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's going to the combine this week, and we got him on the list because, like, the rule is you can include guys can count as FCS HBCU guys if they've only played 1 year at the FBS. So, like, Tootin won't count for A&T when he gets drafted and invited, but Simpkins will count for Central because he only played 1 year at South Carolina.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm with you. Elijah needed to go to the Shrine Bowl, man. He did.
Yeah,
Scotty. I mean, because I told everyone beforehand he's gonna hurt somebody in one-on-ones. Like that's how good he is compared to some of these O linemen there. Scotty, he won't even like. I'm not gonna say he wasn't trying, but Scotty, he 60% probably just pancaking people. Scotty, he pancaked 5 guys in one-on-ones this week. The first rep on all 3 days, he pancaked the first guy on the first rep. Yeah, did one with the spin move, bull rushed the other ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a guard or a center player. Yeah, I wouldn't.
No,
I wouldn't want none of that.
Scott, he played all 4. He played all 4 positions. He played both 5s and both 3s.
How did scouts feel about him?
They liked him, and this was what I was confused about. They knocked him for his arm length, but his arm length isn't like a major red flag. He's slightly below where he needs to be, but it's not.
What's his height for?
Let me see. I'm pulling it up here. I got all the so. He's 6'2", 294.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
With a 32 and 2/8 arms.
That's not bad for a D.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's not
terrible. So I just think because he played at Morgan, they just kind of docked him. Yeah, I'll be honest with you.
Think about it. I mean, you're right in the Aaron Donald, Warren Sapp. Like you're right in that same frame of body, and 294 is not a slouch to be moving the way that he moves, right? Like, and granted, if you need Elijah to be a run stopper, he can be a run stopper. If you need him to be somebody who can press the pocket, he can press the pocket, right? Again, like you said, the only thing that I didn't like his motor. And like in some of those games, I'm just like, if you're supposed to be the best player and the most talented, it can't just happen between, the A gap to A, the A to A, you know what I'm saying? That short frame, which he's great. He's magnificent in that short box, that short area. But, sometimes you got to run something down. Sometimes you got to run it down side to side. And that's my only knock on Elijah. But, you know, see what he did at the. And I hope he does get picked up, undrafted free agent, or draftable, or however they see.
Probably a UDFA based on what, like, unless someone because listen, there's always surprises, right? In the late that 7th round is just a crapshoot. That just is guys who they're just picking to pick, or they just don't want to fight. He could be that guy, just slip into that 7th round. But I think even if he's a UDFA, man, he's going to be. Remember the Southern kid we talked about earlier, Cam Peterson.
Yeah,
we talked about him. He didn't have the production at Southern. We both were kind of like,
measurable.
Was he just doing it because the O-line's that bad? Scotty, I talked to him this week. He came up to me. He remembers us from talking to him he plays for the Saints right now.
Yeah,
he's on the roster.
Yeah,
I think Elijah could have that type of trajectory where just get on a roster, man. That's all you got to do.
And remember, there was a certain agent. We won't say no names, but there was a certain agent that told us that he wasn't NFL caliber, and we was like, I beg to differ, because
man, he's killing it.
He's just too big. He's too long. No, did he? He's. I'm
sorry. Bro, scouting is the worst for that. Bro, you can't be a scout. Like you'd be in there just questioning everything you're saying.
Oh, listen, everything I'm about to say is a no diddy before, right? He's too big. He's too long with his arms. His arms are too long. All right, his arms are too long to not be productive, to not be impactful. Let's just say that. I don't need you to be freaking, what's the member from the Chiefs? Jones, you know what I'm saying? I don't need you to be Frank Jones or whatever his name is, right? Chris Jones. But he's just, you can't, Bama's don't grow on trees. That's all I'm saying. They don't grow on trees. And if you're somewhat athletic, that helps.
Yeah. 6'5", 280 is, don't find that often.
Come on, man. 6'5", 280, and Alabama can run. He can run. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those type of situations. And I wouldn't be surprised if Elijah gets put on that same type of, freakish, like just ability. And I think guys like Elijah, guys like Rob, guys like Kendall, I think Shamar even has this. Like, put me against guys that you think are better than me, and I'll show you that they're not better than me.
Yeah,
they
get bored.
I'm just that much better than you. You get what I'm saying? I'm just that much better than you. The thing that hurts, the thing that bothers me the most about this whole thing, I really hate that guys like Draylon and guys like Daniel, they don't get the opportunity to try. I would love to see Draylon just get and granted, he's not a Kyler Murray. He's not the Bama from Carolina, but the guy can spin it. He can spin it, and he's athletic. And that in this day and age, that's what everybody's looking for. He's the type of guy I want to see get a mini camp invite, just like I want to see what he can do, because the kid can spin it, man. Like watching him against Montana. And watching him play against the Legacy Bowl, I was like, I'm really Draylon Ellis is really growing on me.
Yeah. The problem is like in those weird positions, right? Because you see a lot of guys get shots as D-line, O-line because there's so many spots.
Quarterbacks
with the quarterback. I mean, what are we talking about per team, Scotty? I'm talking about including practice squad, maybe 4, 5, maybe if they want to carry like an extra for some reason, like on the IR or something.
Definitely 4.
Yeah, definitely 4.
Had 3 on.
Yeah, 3 on active and then 1 on practice squad.
Yeah.
Scotty, that's 4 spots for 32. Right, you're talking about, and when O-line, you probably got 5 starters and then like another 5 on the act. Like you probably got like 20 spots.
Yeah, I think
Draylon can go to another level and play. Like I'm just gonna say, like even if it's like indoor, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, how many people wish they could play professionally, even indoor?
Yeah, making good money, right? But
yeah, come on, man.
Listen, I've seen them quarterbacks in the UFL. Draylon can ball. I mean, the kid's a baller. You know what I'm saying? But this is the thing. When you're going to go up against kids like those fringe guys, right? Like the fringe quarterbacks from Power 5, then the fringe quarterbacks at G5, you get overlooked because they're like, why would I take a guy from Tennessee State when I can get a guy who played at Virginia Tech and he was like the kid from Vanderbilt? Right, like if I can get that kid from Vanderbilt,
I'll take him. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Like he played in the SEC, he Alabama.
we also got to put in perspective too, and that's what I always say is like I feel like some fans kind of get too like they're like looking at it through like a microscope, right? And they
Right.
don't see the bigger picture. And it's like, okay, yes, well, we love to see Draylon get his shot. Hell yeah, man, that's one of my guys. Like I've been trying to talk him up for 3 years. Like I would love to see him get there.
Mhm.
But Scotty, the kid from North Dakota State who just won a natty, Cam Miller,
Nasty.
ain't even possibly getting drafted.
Nasty. Yeah.
So I mean, Tommy Millott from Montana State not getting drafted. And so it's like we start expanding nationally, and it's like, okay, well, then we start doing comparisons. That's what a scout. We were talking to a scout from the Cardinals. He goes, "That's what people don't get." He said, "Take the kid from Central, Davis." He said, "I have to look at him and say, can he beat the guy on my practice squad who played 3 years at Bama, was a former 5-star, and had all these yards? And is he more athletic? Does he have more traits?" He said, "Probably not." He said, "How about the kid we cut for the kid on our practice squad who came from X Power 4, also, caught 2,000 yards in college and was a really good athlete. Is he better than him? I don't know." So he said, people don't see it. People don't see the decisions we have to make when it comes to stuff like this. They think making a practice squad is the easiest thing in the world. He said when half these practice squads, if they got together, they'd beat a college team by 50 points.
Listen, and I hear NFL guys talk about, I think on the pivot, they were interviewing the DB from Greedy.
Oh yeah, the kid from LSU.
Yeah.
Greedy Williams.
Yeah. They were interviewing him, and he was talking about like they was like, what's one of those guys that that kind of like put you on your toes. And he said, "I know y'all talking about the Jamar Chase and all that." He said, "Man, there's some guys on the practice squad." He was like, "They are good. Like, don't sleep. Like, these dudes are really nasty." And that's the thing where I think for both of us, it's a hard balance because you want to big these guys up and say, "Hey, these guys are talented," but in the scope of everything. And this is why we say you can't keep scheduling Lincolns in NAI. You can't keep doing that to your players. It's not just about who we want to win a game. It's not just about that. It's about the tape that you're sending out for these guys that you want your alums to be NFL or UFL guys where they're not playing these guys, right? Like, granted, when Hugh took his team up to LSU and Chance put that move when they got in the safety, you don't think Cincinnati's still watching that film? Like, shit, yeah, we need that kid. You see what I'm saying? Carson Vincent going against Auburn and holding his own. You know,
and Vanderbilt.
And
I mean, they've played a bunch of P4 schools over the past 3-4 years.
And that's the one thing about A&M. You got to give them credit because they've always played either they've always played a Power 4 team in top level FCS, Austin Peay, Troy. G5, right? So it's that. But then you got schools like Dooley when you scheduling non-conference opponents, and then you got Lincoln and Podunk. Who else? You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make sense. And going back to Prairie View, you lose one, and then you just replace him with another bum.
I didn't get that one because, I wouldn't have had any. I would have not loved it, but I wouldn't be as harsh on it if they wouldn't have came out and said we're scheduling for the playoffs. But then you scheduled North American University and UTRGV, this is their first season ever. This is their inaugural season of football. PV is going to be their second ever opponent, their first ever D1 opponent.
That's crazy.
I mean, so you're not being serious. And listen, I get it. And I get the people that push back, the injuries, this and that, the money, and we'd rather play at home and all this. At the end of the day, you can only have certain things. You got to make a decision. Do you care more about playing at home and making the money? If you do, then just say that. And I'm cool with it. I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
But then don't complain when your players aren't on draft boards because they didn't play nobody. And then there's talk about competition because you can say whatever you want and you can use one-off factors and this and that and skew data to make your argument. At the end of the day, the scouts have come out and said it matters who you play. And it matters if you have tape against this competition. If you choose to ignore it, then more power to you. That's cool. But then don't complain and say that it's a lie or a myth or people are just skewing the data because all the data suggests that those P4 games matter.
It absolutely does. I mean, and I was talking to a scout, and when I went to the XFL tryouts when The Rock was doing that thing and he was going around different HBCU campus. And I was talking to a bunch of XFL scouts, and they were like, Scotty, they think we're like this. Oh, we take, like we'll take anybody. And they're like, no. They're like, no, like we looking for the talent too, because we want to win. Yeah. So he said, why would I take a quarter? And I'll never forget. He said, why would I take a quarterback from an HBCU who played some random team or over a guy like De'Aaron King, who is not a draftable guy, but he played in Miami. He played against top level talent, and he said, this kid threw for 2,000 yards. De'Aaron King threw for 2,000 yards. Which one do you think matters more? He said, it's very simple. He said, now, if you give me a HBC quarterback who's 6'4", 6'5", can run a 4.5 and threw for 2,500 yards, he said, holy, now we're talking something different because I ain't seen that. He said, but if you give me a 6'2" guy, and I got a 6'2" guy that played at Miami, I'm taking the guy that played at Miami. He said, one, because I want to keep my job, and two, because I have tape against him against power forward talent that the other team is recruiting too, that we're going against. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you have to understand. And I know somebody put in like Maynard played the Georgia, Kentucky. Listen, we're not saying everybody plays a dud. Alabama will be paying Mercer, okay? Like, we get it. Everybody plays a dud. We're saying stop scheduling 3 duds. Yep. That's the issue. It's not that you're playing a dud. It's that you're scheduling 3 of them.
Yeah.
You see,
and then they use James Houston and Isaiah Bolden as examples when both of those guys had like 4 years of P4 film,
and then came on down.
And one put up like 20 sacks in the season, and the other one was like a all-American kick returner. Where special teams is literally like that is the pipeline to the NFL for these kids, and I don't think enough kids understand it. You might not need to be an all-American kick returner. Just show that you can play on the return team. Just show that you can be a gunner on punt return. Or whatever, or pump, whatever you want to be, just show you can play some special teams, and you will get a camp invite. They're looking for special teams guys, and and there have been plenty of guys, Scotty, who have worked their way from special teams to being a contributor on offense or defense or whatever it may be. We got to I don't know. It just frustrates me because we have all this data. Everyone's telling you the boxes you need to check, and people are just acting like, oh man, we don't need to check those boxes.
We're okay.
Yeah,
we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
It frustrates me so much because we're putting the time in to promote these guys.
Yeah,
and we got people behind the scenes who are actually fighting for you, and you got people in the front offices, head coaches, players that just aren't taking it serious.
Yeah, I like B-Cod from NCCU, exactly, Xavier Smith.
All rookie team this year.
You know what I'm saying? It's again, it's and also it's. You got to hit the measurables, not measurables in terms of height or weight or whatever. If I know you're 5', if you're under 5'10", you better be 4'4". There's no other questions. Okay. Can we just say that? Let me just be honest with you. If you're under 5'11" and you're not running anything less than a 4.5, what are we talking about? It's very simple. If you're short, you better be fast. Okay. It's very easy. So if you're running 4.3, 4.4, now we're having a conversation. Now we can go back to the tape and say, oh shoot, okay, that translates. Again, that's why I was so high on Xavier Smith that year. I was like, he's the only guy I've seen that hit when they said 4.3, you see it on tape. And it's one guy, Blue, that I just felt like they did him so dirty. Antoine Collier. I'll never forget that name.
Oh yeah, the kid from UCF that transferred to FAM.
I felt like he was draftable, like that. Or at least undrafted free agent. Like
I want to say he got a shot.
That's one of the guys I just felt like he should have been around the league longer. Him and the safety from Morgan last year. I know he went to the Ravens.
Oh my God, I'm picturing him in my head. God, because it was him and Karvansky back there.
Yeah, those are two guys. Those are 2 guys that I just like. They had it. They had it. You know what I'm saying? That I would have banged on the titty. I would have slammed my hand on the table and like, hey, these guys can play. You know what I'm saying? These guys can play. And I know Collier got overlooked by Bell because Bell was so special, but Collier was a dog back there at safety.
Well, he won the MVP of the Legacy Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
At DB.
He did.
He was balling because people don't understand how. So there's two defenses because Scotty, I don't think people go back and look enough. Everyone kind of takes snapshots of 1 year. Go back like 3 years ago. Look at that Bama State secondary. Mikey Victor, Adrian Maddox. I mean, you had Bubba at linebacker.
They had another kid that's at the
Keenan Isaac.
Keenan Isaac.
Dude, look at Amon Scarborough.
Yeah.
This year, James Burgess. Look at the talent they had in that room. And then you had Bubba at linebacker. You had Nelson Jordan on the defensive line.
Yeah.
And dude, Adrian Maddox is going to Georgia next year.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And then FAMU that year they made the playoffs. Marquise Bell, Antoine Collier, the
Isaiah,
Isaiah Land, the other D tackle, Savion
from Tennessee,
both bowlers,
both the BJ and Kendall.
Yeah,
and you had I
forgot the linebacker's name. There's a Mike. It wasn't Major. There was another Mike on that team.
There was another guy on that team.
But look at the talent that some of these teams had, like going back 2-3 years ago, man. That were developing in the like I said, Ryan Smith and those guys, and then the other Smith, the D coordinator for Bama State, man, they don't get enough credit for what they had in that room, man.
Yeah, they've been top notch in recruiting and top notch in putting it all together and making it happen, man. So it's a beautiful thing to see, and again. If you're looking for a pipeline, Bama State is looking like a DB pipeline. Let's look like
6'2", 6'3".
Oh
my God, Jordan Tolles.
Thank you, Lon.
Shout out to Lon.
Shout out to you, PV. Listen, bro, that Bama was tough.
Yeah.
He was
4-star out of LSU and the Maryland area.
Yes,
God, he was good.
Was tough. Jordan Tolles is tough, man. That
defense too. Going back, Elijah Williams, Nana Asante. Yeah, Scotty, you still have Eric Hunter coming back for another year because he got an injury red shirt last year.
Yeah.
And Eric Hunter's going to be the guy I'm interested to see how they scout next year, man.
He needs to be working on his 40 now.
Bro, Scotty, the word on the street, he's playing safety next year. I heard he runs a 4.4 legit at 6'4".
When the Bama pay a linebacker?
Yes. I heard he might go back to nickel.
That's crazy.
He coached too well. I talked to him 2 years ago at the Legacy Bowl. Maybe it might have been last year.
Yeah.
And I asked him, he goes, dude, if we wanted to play him at safety, he was like, bro, he'd be a starting safety. He's that athletic.
That's crazy. That Bama's everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
You talking about somebody's tape. That Bama's everywhere.
If he measures in at 6'4" and runs a 4.4 like they say, we're having a conversation that we haven't had in a long time about an HBCU prospect.
That's tough. That's tough. And the competition that Morgan State has to play, you see it have to come up. When they play Ohio, when they play the Akrons, when they play the Richmonds. That's why you gotta love MEAC. It's easier to scout for the MEAC because they have to play such high level teams that you're just like, if the kid pops out in one of them games, you're like, oh, okay, let's keep an eye on this kid, right? Because they can't just lollygag throughout the season, the first 6 games, because they got to go play some people. So
the thing about Morgan, though, that's really impressed me, I get it. They haven't won, and I'm the first one to say, bro, you got to win at some games eventually with all this damn talent. But all their stars, Scotty, in those P4 games or G5 games, they all perform well. Elijah Williams was murdering people in those games. Eric Hunter was balling. Jordan Tolles was balling. Carl Vansky was balling. Who's the freshman corner? Prevard, who's going to Virginia this year?
Yeah.
Freshman All-American from last year. He was balling. All their guys always show up in those games, and I wish that's something you don't always see, right? Because we'll have a hype guy in the SWAC that, me, you, everyone in the media is hyping. They'll go play a P4 school, and then it's like, well, damn, where was he at?
Go? Yeah, where they go? Where they show up at? And I think that's the tough thing about trying to support Morgan is that Damon and Sewell are damn good defensive guys. They are the Alabama State for the MEAC, right? But it's like you gotta
quarterback's so bad.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta figure it out. And to me, I'm like, there's too many kids in the portal for you telling me you just keep missing. You keep missing that quarterback. You keep missing that offensive coordinator. Come on, man. It doesn't make
O-line. Run they all the only position they've done well is running back. They got running backs.
Yeah, they get
But
some running backs.
wide receivers.
Well, one of them guys just went to Delaware.
Yeah.
Either went to Norfolk or Delaware. I can't remember one of their top guys.
Yeah. But then, like, just as a unit, the O-line's okay. Wide receiver, they'll have one guy. But, Scotty, you play wide receiver. If you got a quarterback like me back there, how many yards you going for?
Not many.
But you're just out there running routes on air. They don't have to guard you, Scotty. You just
Yeah.
you and Jesus out there. You just run a go route. I ain't gonna get it to you.
Hope we can find you out there, right? And again, you're in. Listen, one thing about Maryland in the you're in rich soil for, because Maryland and Virginia and that area, we're very spreadish, and most high schools are, right? You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of spread concepts out in Maryland, so you can go to QO, you can go to Seneca Valley, you can go to these local Maryland, these PG schools and stuff, and get some real speedsters to come to your program, right? Or go find your kid from Good Counsel, DeMatha, Bullis, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? One of the Olympic, the 16-year-olds out of Bullis, you know what I'm saying? A little school out in a little private school out in Maryland, right? So or DC, whichever one. But they just got to do a better job offensively recruiting the talent that they need. And again, if you're combining it with the portal and recruiting, you can't keep missing. Or get some D2 guys that are proving themselves and have them move up. Because you listen, bro, I'm telling you, that kid from listen, I'm going to stand
the kid from Ferris State.
Oh my God. I would, if I never had an NIL program, I'm starting it for that kid. If I was an HBCU, I'm like, hey, listen, we not doing NIL, but for nobody from that kid from Ferris State. That kid.
The bad part is Ferris State probably has NIL at D2. Like, that's the type of they're the type of program that like could move up to Scotty. I know a D2 coach, man. He coaches one of the staffs out there in Arkansas. He said if Ferris State moved up to FCS, they'd win 9 of the 13 conferences. He said that team is that good. He said it might be more. He said the only 2 they might not have won is Big Sky and Missouri Valley. Because I want to not this past year, but the year before, they lost to Montana at Montana 13-7 the year Montana went to the Natty.
Oh, they like that.
With Clifton McDowell when they had McDowell up there.
Wow.
That's how good Ferris State is.
Listen, bro. And I was watching, shout out to it's a Twitter account, Dan Casey, that I follow. He does all the football breakdowns and stuff like that. And he was breaking down their offense of Ferris State. And it's very traditional, right? It's not nothing real exotic. It's kind of Rich Rodriguez-ish. You know what I'm saying? A lot of speedball, quarterback power or whatever. But listen, that kid from Ferris State can move and he can spin it. You know what I'm saying? But again, you got to I keep saying this, you got to put guys in the right position to make the right plays. And whoever's up there at Ferris State is doing a damn good job of doing that. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you,
that's a D2 we don't want to schedule.
Boy, listen.
For y'all don't want Ferris State to come down here.
Save yourself the headache, okay? Save yourself the headache.
Lose the number.
Nah, not them. You know what I'm saying? There's some D2.
Whatever the area code is, block.
Yeah,
don't call me.
They making calls. They be like, you know what 313 number? I don't know what 313 number. I think that's Ferris. Oh shit, nah. Because isn't Ferris in Ohio or Illinois?
I want to say it's like I thought it was like Michigan. Hang on.
I don't know. Listen, no answer. No, don't pick up that call.
Yeah, Michigan. And that's why they're so good, Scotty, because Michigan, so those states with no FCS programs, like we talk about with North Dakota, South Dakota State, right? There's no FBS program, so they get the best guys. If Ferris State is the FCS program of Michigan, because there's not one. So all those, if you don't go to the University of Minnesota or Michigan or Michigan State, guess where you're going, Scotty? Ferris State.
Ferris State.
They're the North Dakota State of FCS. I mean, of D2.
That's crazy. I never looked at it like that.
That's why some of those programs won't ever move down or up, because we can just keep winning natties here. Why do we need to go compete with North Dakota State when we could just keep beating up on Harding and Valdosta and all these other programs?
Yeah, they got to come see me. You know what I'm saying? We the North Dakota about here in these streets. You know what I'm saying?
You got like the Wisconsin Whitewaters with no FCS. Scotty, they put like 25,000 at a game this year. For Wisconsin Whitewater at D3, they averaged like 24K a game this year or something. They would have been like second in FCS in attendance.
No, we need to change. We need to pivot.
Yeah, but me and Scotty launching a Wisconsin Whitewater podcast.
That's what we need to be. We need to be on that Wisconsin money, man. You know what I'm saying? What they talking about down there?
Mount Union in D3.
Yeah, man. Shoot, we need to pivot. Ferris, Grand Valley State. I think
Grand Valley. Yep.
Yeah. So
always top 10 programs.
Shoot, you need to see what's popping down there in Wisconsin, baby. You know what I'm saying? Who's talking about?
I want to say Mount Union is in Ohio for you. If you want to ever go cover, like Mount Union won, like I want to decide if I'm not mistaken, they won like every conference championship from like 97 to like 2017 or something like that.
Wow.
They won like 13 national titles.
Wow.
In that span. Yeah, it was stupid. Like, bro, I'll talk about like Mount Union is like when you rank like top programs of college football all time. Always got to include Mount Union, man. Like, I mean, their history is stupid.
Mount Union, Ohio. Yep. And
their playoff record in D3 is 104-18.
What did they do? Listen, yeah. We might have to do a D3 channel. we might have to do a D3.
Like it is, Scotty. These are their last 3 head coaches, right? They had Larry Kears from 86 to 2012. He went 332, 24-3, winning 11 national titles and 23 conference titles. Then his son took over, right, in 2013. In 7 years, he went 95-6, won 6 conference titles, 2 natties, and their current coach is 56-4, won 5 conference title, and doesn't have a loss outside the playoffs.
Is that Mount Union the one that Nick Sirianni is from?
Yes.
They were talking.
They're in Alliance, Ohio.
They were talking about him, and I was like, Mount Union, I never heard of that. But yeah. If you're an Ohio kid, you can get into Ohio State or Cincy or go to Mount Union.
Go to Mount Union.
So he said if you cannot get into Ohio State, you go to Mount Union. Okay. Yeah. So
it's a different level of football in that D3, man. Like they got some powerhouses over there.
That's crazy. I saw when they were talking. I was like, man, is that when you was talking about Mount, I was like, why have I heard that? But they were talking about with Nick Sirianni and him learning from that coach.
And the team they lost to is funny enough, you call North Carolina Central North Central.
Yeah.
North Central beat Mount Union in the D3 national title this year. There's actually a North Central.
Shout out to North Central. Shout out to North Central.
And they're in Ohio too, I'm pretty sure.
Man, listen, NCC used to kick my butt, bro. I cannot say that to save my life, boy. I'm like, it's North Carolina Central or Central. I'm like, North Central. Man, we just gonna keep it easy peasy. Yeah, I'm not about to.
We'll hit you with the copyright strike.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not about
the national champs now.
I'm not about to argue with y'all, man. Get out of here, man. Blue, man. Last thing before we get up out of here, man. Overall, like, what were just your how do you feel that is it going to keep growing? Do you feel like they're going to make a lot of tweaks, or where do you think the legacy ball goes forward?
I think there's going to be a lot of tweaks, Scotty. And I've been saying this. I don't think it's just the legacy bowl because the college football schedule is so long now. Like, I mean, the FCS season ends on what, like January 5th or 6th?
Yeah.
The FBS season doesn't end until like the 22nd now. Scotty, all those Ohio State kids had to opt out of the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl
because they
had like a week to get ready.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even get a break. And so what I do think is going to happen is these all-star games are going to start going away. I really do. And I think you might have the Senior and Shrine Bowl just because they're so big, right? But the Hula Bowl kind of going downhill. You saw the NFLPA Bowl get wiped out. You saw the the Gridiron Showcase kind of start trending down. I do think what the pitch is, get rid of the combine and just have an HBCU pro day with all the top guys.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
And because, Scotty, we saw so many opt-outs this year, how do you get these guys not to opt out? Yeah. Right? And also, too, we saw a bunch of guys unprepared. If you push it back a month, how many of those guys are ready at that point? Maybe some just procrastinating and aren't ready. But, I think it's a great event, man. And at the end of the day, man, it's so needed, right? Because I know no one's been drafted, and I know everyone hits the panic button. But, man, look at the list of guys who went to the Combine, went to the Legacy Bowl, and just got an opportunity to get on the roster, from Emmanuel Wilson to B-Cod to Xavier Smith to Cam Peterson. man, the list is growing of guys who are getting mini camp and UDFAs and are making rosters just based on what they did at the Legacy Bowl, man. So I think it's needed. Scotty, I've said this a long time, and just because the HBCU season ends so early, push it up, man. Because a guy like Elijah Williams goes and does what he does, Scotty, what's that? He gets an invite to the Shrine Bowl off of his performance.
Yeah.
And that could be the difference between a guy like him and Rob McDaniel being the UDFA and being drafted. Because what if they get invited up and they go ball out at the Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl?
So
that could be the difference. So I think they got to move it up, and they also got to figure out these opt-outs, man. We can't be having the top guys not perform.
Okay. I'm glad you talked about this. This is the tough part. Okay, so you have the Celebration Bowl December 18th or
16th to the 18th, somewhere in there.
13th, 18th. The Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl are what, in the January?
Yes, into January, early February sometimes.
Okay, early February, end of January. So Legacy Bowl,
January 15th to the 20th, somewhere in there.
Okay. All right.
Because Scotty, because only 2 teams go to December, right? And then you might have one go to the playoffs, but let's just be honest right now, who's making it past the first weekend?
Oh, nobody.
Yeah, no one. Because your second place team isn't making a run in the playoffs right now. Now that could change, but at worst case, you got a team playing until the first week of December, right?
Yeah.
But all those other teams are done like November 16th. The damn MEAC's done at like Thanksgiving.
Facts. Yeah, that's facts.
You know, and the rest of the SWAC, unless you're playing in the Bayou Classic, then you're done Thanksgiving week. And then you got the 2 teams in the SWAC championship and the 1 MEAC team who will go to the Celebration Bowl. Man, you can't get ready in a month.
That's fair. That's fair.
A month. Like, you got a whole month to get ready. And I'll say this, I do think the Senior and Shrine Bowl are going to move back. So maybe you have it at the end of January. Just make it, Scotty. I'm not talking about have it.
You're saying they're going to move back because of the college
playoffs. College playoffs.
Yeah.
Because Scotty, let's just say this: you got let's just say Arch Manning wants to go to the Senior Bowl in a few years. Man, do you know how dumb they would look if it's the week after the Natty, Arch wins the Natty and opts out of the Senior Bowl because he ain't got time to prepare? You know how much money and media coverage they're going to lose?
Yeah,
they don't want that. So I think they'll move back a few weeks, and then. All you have to do, I'll say this, 1 week before wherever the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl is. You just need 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks, because if you have a breakout performance, you can get the call up. It happens all the time at the Hula Bowl. The kid from Illinois State, Keandre Jackson, he's actually a very similar prospect to Rob McDaniel. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
They're all the same measurables. They look the same, everything. And he went and balled out in the Hula Bowl and got called up to the Senior Bowl, Scotty, this year. And now he might get drafted. When Scotty, I didn't even know who he was for real. Like he was considered for our All-American team. I wasn't even looking at him as an NFL prospect. Went down to the Senior Bowl, balled out.
Wow.
Now he might be a draft pick out of Illinois State. Why couldn't that be Kendall Bowler? Why couldn't that be Elijah Williams?
Yeah.
Why couldn't that? I mean, just whoever, Rob McDaniel, Irv Mulligan, Jada Byers, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
Why are we robbing them of the opportunity to move up?
That's fair. No, that's fair. I know the Legacy Bowl is, Black History Month, Legacy Bowl, you know what I'm saying? But I agree. If you're trying to use this platform as a catapult to the league, put it in a position to be that for the players. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely get what you're saying. I hope.
And like Bishop said, for pro days in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, how do you go play in the Legacy Bowl and be ready for a pro day in 2 weeks?
And if anything nicks you or hurt, you know what I'm saying? If anything happens. And again, and I'm going to be honest, I think the Legacy Bowl game is just it's not.
All the games are like that.
It's not really needed. If we're being honest, you know what I'm saying? But I do like you said, Senior Bowl practice is probably the most, that's where you make your money. Yeah. Senior Bowl practice, right? So it's like the one-on-ones and all that type of stuff and the invites and the combines. And I get it, of they still go through with the game. And these are guys' last chances, to really put on a show for some scouts. But, you could be a Davius Richard, you know what I'm saying? And it could be in a situation like that, so.
And also, too, like the game doesn't matter per se if you just go out there and just kind of keep your stock the same or don't play. But like, I mean, you just can't go out there and suck. Like, I do think that was kind of like a misconception. Like, don't go out there and give up 15 sacks or some crazy stuff like that. But and I think that's the other thing with the media coverage of the Legacy Bowl is the only other gripe I have. What like does no one else in the media space cover any other All-Star games? Because Scotty, this year again, it was like NFL Network, me, Gerald, and like I think there was like some random podcast. I don't even remember what they were called. I've never seen them before. I guess I think it was their first year there. Where's all the media coverage? Like, y'all should be there on Monday through Friday, not Saturday. Nobody cares about Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, we got to, like, switch up how, like, these teams cover these players. Because, Scotty, you heard all about Davis, right? Where's Central's post about him? Draylon had a good week. Where's Tennessee State's post about him? Irv and Rob were promoted by Ken and those guys, which isn't tied to the university. Where was Jackson's post with them? Like, so I just think we have to cover these games because the week matters more than the game, and I don't think anyone else in the media like understands that right now for some reason.
Nah, and I'll be and listen, man, I've been there. Me and Blue have been there. Blue's always there. These guys enjoy that. Like these guys love seeing guys that covered them for however long to just come up there and be like, man, you know, good showing or good this or man, you know, I'm really rooting for you. Just have the conversation. And I will say this, and I have to push back on the Legacy Bowl a little bit. They really don't make time for you to talk to the players.
Not a lot, especially if the weather's bad.
No, it's literally like this. They're just it's come and go, and you're like, yo, when can I sit down and talk to the player? Oh, the bus is leaving. You don't miss the bus. And I think again, those are the disservices that the Legacy Bowl has that you know that they do to us podcasters and YouTubers or whatever because they're not going to do that to NFL Network. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's NFL.
And they get first dibs on the players too after practice. Like that's why I didn't get to talk to Rob. He's represented by Rashida. And Rashida was like, man, I want you to interview my guys all the time. I got Irv on the last day. I didn't get to talk to Rob because Rob was with scouts and NFL Network all week.
Yeah.
It's got it. And you know how it is when they move it to the indoor. Man, they're get on the bus, get on the bus. Get on the bus. It's really like that. So I went to the walkthrough on Friday to get those interviews.
Yeah.
And I see everyone in the chat. Like JSU is the only school that sent their media team down there, Scotty. JSU is the only team. And listen, Austin, those guys do a hell of a job and shout out to them. But man, where in the hell is everybody else?
Dog. They don't see it, man. They just
Carson Vincent at the Senior Bowl. Scotty, you have a guy at the Senior Bowl.
No media team.
In your state. We're not asking you to fly out to California. Bro,
damn, that's true.
Damn,
that's true, Blue. Damn.
You can't give your students a damn car to go down to Mobile to cover a guy who had arguably one of the best weeks.
That's crazy.
Come on, man. I hate the excuse of, man, we just don't have anyone to do it. You don't need a camera. Don't buy a camera. Buy an iPhone. That's all you need.
Yeah.
An iPhone. And like Scotty, how much are those little road sets? Like $140?
$200. You know what I'm saying? $150, $200. Yeah.
I'm just tired of the excuses. We got to stop. Like you can send someone to go cover your guy at the Senior Bowl from Huntsville.
Hey, listen, well off media, Bucky, his first 2 years doing that whole thing was off an iPhone. Literally. Off his iPhone.
Bro, that's what Ken and them do. They just record off iPhones in practice. You tell me you don't have anybody who wants to go. Nobody. There's students that would do it for free.
That's crazy, Blue, that you brought that up, that nobody from A&M's media team was down there too. That's crazy.
They might have been at the game, but that sure as hell wanted to practice.
That's crazy. That's listen, I'm in Jordan, my guy. Jordan, you know you're my guy at A&M. You know you're my guy. But y'all got to do better. Y'all got to do, I'm going to talk to AD Bryant about that. Yeah, they got to do better.
Because Scotty, the alumni network, I'm from Mobile. Do you know how many A&M and Bama State
I heard it was a lot
alum
of
I know?
Yeah. I heard it was a lot of people.
You couldn't find anyone at the alum as an alum that lives in Mobile still?
Yeah.
Come on, I disagree.
That's tough. Now you making some solid points, Blue. I ain't gonna lie to you. Because again, when are you ever gonna have the opportunity again?
Who was the last player from A&M to go to the Senior Bowl? I can't. Man, it's been a minute. If there was one, maybe who was it? The DN, the freaking Hall of Famer.
Robert Matthews.
Yeah, maybe him.
That's true. That's facts. You preaching, bro. I ain't gonna hold you now. You preaching now. Like, as they say in the church, pass the collection plate because you're preaching. Yeah. You preaching, my boy. Because that's real. Because people don't see, and that's again, that's that's not asking a lot. And when you even said it's in Alabama, I said, damn, it is in Alabama. It's in Mobile.
Yeah.
Like, it's in your state.
And they have a game in Mobile. So, like, you obviously have enough people here to want to play a game every year in Mobile.
Nah, you know me. You know how I feel about Mobile.
No, I don't blame you. No, I don't blame you. Listen, I ain't ever going to defend Lad Peebles. You ain't going to catch that from me. I'm good. I don't even. Scotty, there's been every year I've covered HBCU football. There's been a game in Mobile. I ain't been to one of them.
Now listen,
I'm making a point to travel that weekend.
I keep telling y'all, downtown Mobile is nice. So listen to what I'm telling you. Downtown Mobile is really nice. It's really pizzazzy. But where Lads is, where Pebbles, Peebles, whatever they call it, that shit's in the hood. Okay, smack dab in the ghetto. It is in the hood.
Can you believe they used to hold the Senior Bowl there every year?
That's crazy.
Bro, do you know the parking? Like, you saw the parking for that game. Can you imagine for the Senior Bowl?
Horrendous.
Crazy.
Okay.
Or you used to have, like, listen, and people didn't want to move the Senior Bowl out of Lad because for people would make so much money just letting people park in their yards. They would be charging $50.
Dog, they were charging 20 at the HBCU joint. Hey, come in here, $20 right here. I'm like,
yeah. And you got to park in someone's backyard.
No, and they setting it all up. Oh no, you back in right here, and you good, and you just listen, bro. I'm telling y'all. Listen to me when I tell you. And I every time somebody brings a Mobile, I tell this story. We parked in somebody's yard and just walking to the stadium because it's literally like houses and then bam, stadium. It's weird. Yeah. It's a weird setup.
It's in a neighborhood.
It's smack dab in the neighborhood. Smack dab in the neighborhood, surrounded by people. All right. And walking from, we were probably like 2 streets over from the stadium. Walking 2 streets over from the stadium, I felt like I needed a blicky. I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt like I was gonna have to shoot somebody or somebody was gonna try to rob me in 2 streets. Literally. 1 stop sign, 2 stop signs. The stadium's right there. I felt like somebody was gonna rob me.
Bro, they got parking for like 15 cars at that stadium. I mean, it's
crazy. It's crazy. The stadium is just bad, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's just bad. So,
Scotty, I put it in the chat before. So there were a bunch of local high schools that played their games there.
Yeah,
they built like 6 new high school football stadiums rather than like fix Lad. So that tells you how they felt about it.
It's people. Listen, I don't understand why people keep doing that Mobile Classic game. It doesn't make
the money
sense.
From what I was told. And Scotty, just a little known thing, they tried to move Alcorn FAM to Mobile this upcoming year, and it didn't go through.
FAM, don't do it. Don't ever.
No, they denied it. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, if you not from Alabama, it doesn't make sense for you. It just
Who would go see FAM versus Alcorn in Mobile?
No, it don't. I went home and home.
Yeah.
FAMU at Alcorn.
I'm going to that game next year. Yeah,
see, the first one's at FAM.
Yeah, FAM's this year. At Alcorn's next year.
It's next year. So listen, that game
the reservation is going to be packed. Oh my god!
Crazy.
Because if I'm not mistaken, FAM and Alcorn have never played.
They've only played a long time. They haven't played since the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah, but I know that since they joined the SWAC, they've never played. But like you said, it's been like since the 70s, 80s since they played.
Yeah, so
that's insane.
I know.
Y'all listen, FAM might have a lump, but
it's not worth it.
Come on, bro. In Mobile,
dog, it's not worth it. I'm telling you, I don't care what nobody says, bro. There's probably enough money. Like if they came up with the right price tag, you can get.
Oh yeah. Now listen, if you're dropping like $500K per team with travel, like we're signing the contract.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You play in that little dirty stadium. You'd be like, I'm gonna just come here and get my money and get up out of here, right? But if they not talking some ducats, some real money, it ain't worth it. Nah, it ain't. It ain't worth it at all, man.
No, the only 2 teams that should ever play in Mobile, and it shouldn't be as often as it is A&M and Bama State. That's it.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. This is what it is. But but man, Blue, listen, It's always good to have you on, my boy. Make sure
For
you
sure,
guys
man.
go check Blue and Coach Fred show. They did they went, I mean, Blue and them broke it down, winners, thoughts on the games, behind the scenes, practices, everything like that. I didn't want to really touch into that too much. I wanted you guys to go over there to Blue's podcast with Coach Fred to tune out the show. Blue, tell them where else they can take you out at, my guy.
Yeah, man. Blue Bloods as always. FCS Football Central on si.com/college/FCS. And you can find all our content there in any podcast streaming platform, man. The Blue Bloods as always, man. But Scotty, it's good to chop it up with you, man. Like I told you, man, it's been a minute since we've done the show, man.
Oh,
It
man.
jump into it, man. So
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I know you've been super busy, you know, making. Hey, listen, I know you said backslash money, backslash getting paid, backslash cha-ching. Okay, that man got sites on sites on sites, man. Listen, Blue is a mogul. Okay, Blue is
Trying.
a mogul.
Hey, Scotty, people weren't around when me and you were both struggling on YouTube. Like they don't know what getting that YouTube check is. Scotty, I was a grad student when I started, man. So I was making like, bro, you know how little GAs make? Like I was living in Kansas making like $14K a year.
Listen,
Come on, man.
Listen, man. I remember. I'll never forget. You know who put me on to you, Blue? Coach Green.
Okay.
Coach Green.
Shout out to Coach Green, by the way.
Shout out to Coach Green. Coach Green, gotta give Coach Green his credit. He was like, man, Scotty texted me. He's like, Scotty, man, this white boy talking about you. So I was like, what? This white, I was just like, what? Who talking about? That's when I was on. That's early me. So I'm shooting and I'm killing. I'm taking names. I'm shooting Bama's down and taking names. Right. I'm on my 50 Cent journey. And dog, I was watching you in your first co-host, like your boy Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. I'm gonna see him this weekend, man. He's coming in for my sister's baby shower, man. Him and his wife. So shout out to B-Dub.
What's up, man? So when you and Brandon were doing it together, and you was like, shout out to Scotty, and I was like, dog, and I was like, this had to be one of the funniest white boys. I was like, this dude is hilarious, right? And that's why I reached out to you, and we've been cool ever since. But man, bro, like the early days, bro. Oh man,
it was different.
That jank was rough. I mean, and listen, I'm not even on Blues money. Blue money long. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's great.
Blue, hey, Blue, listen, Blue work for On 3, Sports Illustrated. Nah, I'm telling you, Blue's resume is crazy. At the line. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying? Blue, but I think the coolest thing when I told Blue this, when his stuff started picking up, I said what was dope is the manifestation. Because I remember me and Blue were talking. He would say, man, if I could just do this for a job, like this be my livelihood, because I know you was going through your grad stuff and you was studying and doing all this crazy stuff back and forth with, Kansas and stuff, and driving back and forth and doing a lot of crazy stuff. And you just said, man, if this could be my job, I would be so happy. And to see you be able to do what you love to do and use your talents to just enjoy your life, man, and be everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you've always been everywhere. So, man, congratulations, man, and just keep growing, bro. Keep growing.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. I'll never forget that drive from Manhattan, Kansas to Huntsville to watch that 60-point beatdown. It's a mean drive.
Oh God! Not even. That was tough. Shout
I remember sitting there like, damn, man, I drove freaking like 18 hours for this shit.
Boy, I'm talking about a straight ass.
Oh, that was supposed to be the game of the year, man. And we come out there and give up 61 on homecoming. Come on, man.
Man, I had to be on live for 3 hours, man. That was tough. My wife's still scarred by that. You know what I'm saying? She still don't want to go back to A&M. She like, F that.
I went for a spring game, man. I ain't been back since for a game.
A&M and Jackson is like, they right there. Like Jackson, just because, she don't, but A&M and Jackson not going back. Now, she love A.D. Bryant because A.D. Bryant, like, I'll take care of you, da-da-da. But she still just don't sit well with her. Just don't sit well with her. I'm telling you. She's just like, nah, I ain't doing it. They don't want to feed you. We was walking around. It was hot.
No, it was so hot. Oh, my God. Hot.
You know what I'm saying? Then nobody want to feed us. Nobody offer no drinks, man. A&M is...
Man, the 2 times I've been to A&M, it was that game, and it was like 900 degrees. I went for the spring game, man. It rained the whole time. I was mad as hell, man. My camera was wet. I was angry.
Let me ask you this: out of all the games, out of all the places you've been, what has been your best experience at in HBCU?
Man, I'll be honest. That and I'll talk about it all the time. That Alcorn Jackson game in 2022
with Travis,
and Shador. God, that game was electric. It was cold as hell, but that game, like Scott, I mean, it just had like a P4 feel to it. Because
Yeah.
you remember, like, because to get into that game, we had to get there. I remember I had to pick up my credential the day before because they were going to shut down campus, bro. And I remember talking to the SID at the time. He's over at Bethune now, and he was like, "Dude, I'm not joking. I'm sleeping in my office tonight. You got to be on the strip by like 5 a.m. or you ain't getting in." I said, "All right, dude." I was staying down in Natchez,
Yeah.
and I drove up or I hit the strip at like or stretch at 4:45, man. And I didn't park my car till like 6:40. Dude, I was so tired. Dude, I put up the little sun blocker. My windows were already tinted, bro. I took a mean nap. I woke up I took like a 2-hour nap in my car, woke up and then hit the tailgate.
Yeah, refreshing. And
Bro, I got out stretching.
Hey, listen, and all going if all going to nothing else, they gonna make some breakfast. Oh boy, they gonna make
shout out to Mr. Kincaid, man. Scotty, that game, he served breakfast. He had like like a snack between that. He cooked lunch, and then after the game, man, he served dinner.
No, shout out to the A team. Shout out to the A team.
Yeah, man, and look, some of the best tailgate food you're gonna have too. Oh my gosh. But man, Scotty, that game was so packed. That's when they brought in the extra bleachers in the end zone.
Yeah.
And Scotty, there were so many people standing on the hill. They had the gate in that little hill end zone underneath the scoreboard. It was packed up to the scoreboard with people standing. And the sideline was so packed. I didn't even get that much good footage, man, because you just had to fight your way on the sideline because it was just packed out. And it was so loud.
That's dope.
Different.
Now they getting beat by 50. Boy, that's crazy.
Well, no. That was actually a pretty close game for the half.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for that game was great, right?
Yeah.
This game, this year,
no.
get their ass whooped.
I didn't even go because I was supposed to go to the Soul Bowl, and I was just like, everybody's hurt, and I'm a hit. I think I went to Tennessee State that weekend.
Yeah. Anything's better there. Yeah. We'll see, but
I try to pick my games now. I got to go to a competitive one. I can't have a blowout. Like this year, I didn't travel as much because of everything that happened that was going on off camera. But I went to FAM Jackson this year, Tennessee State, and UT Martin, which that was a heartbreaking game. I went to the SWAC Championship, Celebration Bowl, in the FCS National Championship. So I all of them were pretty good games, I would say.
Yeah, that's good. I know you would have. I know you would have loved to be at that Tennessee State Montana game. I know that Jay would have been crazy.
I tried to go, man, but then it was right after everything kind of happened, and then I looked at tickets. Dude, it was like $1,300 to fly into Bozeman or to fly into Missoula. Because you got to think, man, up there,
tickets was $1,300.
Yeah, no, like the plane ticket. Because I could have got a media credential and all that, but because it snows up there, so it's hard to fly into Missoula in December. And the Tennessee State was like, man, you should come up here, help us cover. I'm like, well, can you help cover some of these damn expenses? Like, man, I'm not paying $1,300 to go up to Montana and sit in the cold. Crazy.
He said, can you cover some of these?
And insane. And shout out to all my guys at Tennessee State, man. Shout out to Nick and all them. Love them. But man, I couldn't justify in my head to spend $1,300 for a first round playoff game.
That's funny. He said, I told y'all Blue funny, bro. Hey, you talking about Blue's one of the best counter punches in the game, man. Like, I'm telling you, Blue not gonna come at you, but the counter punch gonna be A1. Gonna be A1.
Like that. I was a kid at lunch where like I wasn't even in the battle, but if someone says something off, I'd turn and then we jump in.
Yeah, then I'm in there. They said Blue never been to Bragg. You never been to Bragg, Blue?
Never, man.
Oh, yeah, you gotta check that out.
I was supposed to go for the SWAC championship, and then that was like right when that stuff happened with my grandmother, so I wasn't able to go. Yeah. And so it's just like every single time I'm supposed to go to Bragg, man, something crazy happens, man. So maybe it's just not meant for me to get to Bragg. But I got that Central game this year. Already got it circled on my schedule, man. NCCU FAM this year in Bragg.
Yeah, and it's like mid-season too. Yes. Yeah.
That's the game that'll be my first game in Bragg, most likely.
I might have to talk to Miss Sykes, see if I can get you taken care of down there. You know what I'm saying? Make sure.
For sure, man.
Get you right. You know what I'm saying? And then Vaughn, Vaughn is Mr. FAMU down there. So yeah. But hey, man,
if Mr. Campbell can't get us in, man, then hey, man, we might just not be worthy to get into Bragg.
Yeah. Listen. Yeah, Mr. Campbell, his network is long. Listen. If Mr. Campbell can't get you in and Vaughn can't get you in, it ain't meant to be. I'm just gonna
you on the blacklist, man. I can't help you.
Now, if OBG was there, I ain't got no help for you. Listen,
bro, they're gonna take you out in handcuffs.
Listen, if OBG there, But Miss Sykes, Miss Sykes, that's my dog. So shout out to she.
Yeah. Hey,
I met her at the SWAC championship game before she became AD, and I was like, it was raining, and I was running, and she was like, Scotty, and I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, hi. She said her name, but I wasn't. I'm just trying to get to where I'm going. She's like, I love watching your show. I'm such a big fan. Like, come back to the tailgate, da 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 da. Right. So I'm like, all right, okay, cool, whatever. I didn't go back. I'm just doing my own thing, whatever. So then when she gets the job, me and Mr. Campbell hooked up the three-way, like, so I could talk to her. I said, hey, big fan. She's like, Scotty, you don't remember me? I was like, am I supposed to remember you? She's like, I was the one that stopped you at the tailgate. I said, oh, that was you. I said, oh, shoot. I said, this is a small world. She said, I told you I watched the show. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. I was like, so I'm good at fam? She said, oh, you always good. I said, okay, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying?
I saw her for a brief moment at the Celebration Bowl. She was doing all the like media row, but bro, you know how it is. Like I knew the media person at Celebration Bowl, and they just labeled me like football only, man. So if any ADs or anything came in, they just bypassed me. They were like, "You don't want to talk to him. He's going to ask you about X's and O's." And because I'm not into all interviewing ADs and stuff like that. But I should have introduced myself, and they're correcting me as Suggs. I think you called her
Sykes. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
Suggs. Sorry, Miss Suggs. Right. So shout out to Miss Suggs.
But she had a clean like Letterman on. When she came to Celebration Bowl, that family was clean. I was like, where'd they make those at?
Oh, that FAMU, you get the right FAMU get. That ain't look nasty.
Their color scheme, the best. Oh man.
Yeah. Especially that white on orange. Ooh.
The best white jerseys in FCS football, for sure.
Hey, them things be crispy, boy.
With the white helmet. Yeah.
FAMU should be, honestly, FAMU should be the Oregon of the South. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they could
all their colors go together. You can mix and match everything with their uniforms, and they
need to have like a gray, like a white gray alternate. That would be like, or like an orange gray, or like they needed some type of dope alternate colors, some dope alternate colors. But
they need a blackout jersey too. That black with that orange.
That with the, if it was all black with the orange numbers,
with the orange lettering, orange numbers, and like a blackout with the orange rattler on it. Yeah.
So cold.
I don't know if they've ever done it before. I don't, because listen, I have like a Mr. Campbell question if they wore that back in like the 70s or something, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Yeah, they need to talk to Nike about that. Yeah, they definitely need to talk about Nike. That'd be tough. Y'all need to see our orange on orange unis. I'm not a fan. The orange is a little too much. Orange
because they wore them. They've worn them before. Like the
past few years. I thought they wore them at the OBC once. The orange. They said we stay away from.
Oh, it's too hot down there. Yeah, wear that in the November game. Wear that for the Florida Classic.
Yeah, I totally forgot. Yeah, black and shit, nigga. Oh,
yeah, no,
that was be dying. Be dead.
We got players just passing out on the field.
They be like, oh man.
They said they were losing in them. That's why they got rid of them.
Oh, they got what?
We had black and we stay losing in them.
That's tough. We had black and stay losing in them. They said let it go. Pumpkin spice. Oh, y'all some haters.
That's crazy.
You got some great color schemes. But man, listen, Blue Man, I appreciate you, bro. We need to get back to doing this sometime during the season, or definitely after the spring games and some recaps, man. But man, it's all love, bro. Listen, until next time, guys, you know what I'm gonna do. I'ma holla. God bless.